Welcome to Wide AF. We're your hosts, Steph and Brandon, and today we're going to be talking about how to take feedback. So this is going to be something that you can apply to pretty much everyday life scenarios, whether that's work or life or whatever. But we'll also going to give a bit of examples, mostly on training and how we can apply that, or how we do apply that in coaching situations, and how we think that people can take feedback in a constructive way, because they tend to sort of take it negatively sometimes.
It's something that I see a lot of the time where I'll tell a client to do something, maybe make a possible change or an improve, which I would see as an improvement to their technique and how to further progress them. And people often take it as a threat and take it as I'm having to go at them, or they take it quite personally. And people often feel that what they were doing before wasn't good enough, or it was all wrong and it was a waste of time, where it's actually not the case. It's that technique got you to where you are today, and that's good. You learn, some of those things can be applied, but now I'm trying to help you go a little bit further, and maybe I'll have a little bit different perspective, and I see things a little bit differently to the coach that you were working with before. And that's often, that'll be the perspective I'm coming with for today. And then, we can kind of bounce some ideas off together, and Steph and I will kind of just, let you know about how, the perspective that we have.
So the first point that I have here with how to take feedback like a champion is to have an open mind. So I think it's really easy for a lot of people to let go. It's really difficult for people to let go of their ego. People always want to think, oh, they're right, or everything they're doing is really good, which, there's nothing wrong with that, to be confident and feel good about your competence as well. But there is a point where you sort of need to allow other people to sort of help you and basically just improve whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah, it's a team effort, and I often find that people who are the best athletes are the ones who are the most coachable. And we often talk about, when Steph and I finish work, we often say, oh, this person, was a new person that we trained, and that person's really coachable and it makes it really fun. And that person doesn't necessarily be the best athlete or the strongest person, or often isn't the strongest person, but the best people to coach and the best people to have at the gym are the ones who are most coachable, and they want to soak up the information that we have to give, and they want to generate discussion. They want to know, why is it that we are doing it a certain way, opposed to the person that I'll say, maybe you should do this for the lift next time, and they'll go, really? Oh, is that what I did? And they question it, but not in a way that is constructive, often seeing it as a threat.
They get defensive, don't they, sometimes? Which I think as well, if you've been doing something for a really long time, it's easy to be that way. But you just got to remember, everyone can be a beginner in something. You can always learn something from anyone, basically, regardless what level you're at. And I think that's where it comes down to having an open mind about it.
Yeah, of course. And you can't, we're obviously being reasonable here and, in context, if someone that was, you're an elite athlete and someone just walked up to you that's off the street and said, oh, I think you should do this with your technique, or you shouldn't just adopt any change to anyone. And obviously, we're in the context of, we're coming from a place that, we're educated on the topic and we only want the best for that person. And so, and often, we could just be trying something new and trying something different, and often, process of elimination, get rid of the things that don't work and then go from there. So, we might be just trialing a different position with your lift, or we might just be trying a different technique or a different mindset approach with your eating and seeing how that goes. And if that works or it doesn't work, that's okay.
Yep.
And then we can use that information. It's important to use that information to then make a judgment for later on.
Exactly.
I just want to interrupt this and say, how's your black nitro, Steph?
Oh, it's really nice, thank you. It's smooth and creamy. I love it. It's just what I needed this morning.
Made in Australia, in Byron Bay.
It's from Byron Bay. Yeah, they reached out to us on Instagram and they sent me a message and they're like, do you like it? I'm like, I do like it. So I've got it again. It might be a regular appearance on the podcast.
It's the official podcast drink.
This is not sponsored.
Not sponsored.
Point number 2. So point number 2, how to take feedback. Listen. And I've just got listen, full stop. When you listen wholeheartedly and you don't interrupt. And this is so hard. And I know that I always have to put myself up on it. Even Brandon and I, when we're having conversations, I have to make sure that I'm stopping and I'm not interrupting you, and I'm just actually listening.
I think I'm way worse at that than you are.
And actually listening and taking in everything you're saying. It's really difficult though, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be a real challenge. And the podcast has taught me to let the other person finish their sentence, and then I can talk. But it's something that I see majority of people are quite good at it. But I think the point number one, where people come in with a preconceived idea or, prior experience or prior knowledge, and then they think that might override everything else. And listening is something where, let the coach explain to you what is it that they're trying to teach you, or what is it that they're, maybe want to change on your lift for the better. And then that will help you understand how you need to progress with and what you need to do in the future.
Exactly, yeah. And just, be patient with that. It's a bit of a skill and it takes time, and you do need to practice it. But I think you really do get a lot out of it, and you do learn more and hear more when you can practice listening properly and listening to your coach well. And, I think if you have respect for your coach or respect for whoever's giving you feedback, it's a lot easier to want to listen to them as well. If you don't really respect the person, it's going to be a lot harder for you to want to take on board what they're saying. So, it's important anyway to find a coach and find people around you who you respect and you look up to and who you think you can learn from. And you're going to be more likely to want to listen to them anyway. But yeah, it's important to have respect for those people.
Exactly. And often I find when people struggle with listening is when I'll be explaining someone a particular thing, whether it's nutrition, training, coaching, online coaching, or whatever it is, they're preparing their response while I'm talking to them. So they're not even taking in anything that I'm saying. They're just getting ready to tell me their answer anyway, regardless of what I've just said. So shut up, listen to what I have to say, and then prepare your response and then talk. And I try and do that for myself as well. So when someone's talking to me, regardless what I think of their opinion, I'm just letting them finish. And then from there, I'll create my own response based on their information.
Exactly, yeah. So then we're getting into the next point, number 3. There's only 5 points, by the way, so there's not too many. It's a nice quick one today. So point number 3, this is kind of leading on from the last point. Try to understand where the other person is coming from. So that means to try and put yourself in their shoes, think about why they're telling you this feedback, and maybe it is that they're trying to make you better. They're not necessarily coming at you from a personal attack, especially if it's a coach. They're like for lifting or for sport or a nutritionist. They're just trying to help you make improvements and make you better, especially if you're the one that came to them in the first place for help. They're just trying to help you.
Yeah, I think a lot of people come to a trainer or a nutritionist or someone like that to get some validation for the things that they're already doing and make them feel better about the choices that they're already making, rather than help me with the problems that I have and help me improve. So I think if you come with the perspective of, well, I'm already doing things really well, and you don't really want to be coached, then why are you seeing a coach in the first place? Because a coach is only going to help you excel to the next level and help you get more out of yourself, because we're looking at you from an objective perspective. Yeah. We're not looking at you with any bias that you might have of yourself. So it's something that I find, people can find quite challenging. Often I find when we get new beginners or, beginners coming into the gym or people that have trained at other places, they always see our feedback, or some of them see our feedback as threats. And I don't think they actually understand that we're actually trying to help them get better. And that might be quite challenging, if you were to change a technique. Like, for example, push-ups. People don't know how to do push-ups properly. People plank with a really, extended back, or they're not in the correct position, and we adjust them. Some people will be really grateful for it, and other people will get quite frustrated and annoyed that we actually corrected them in the first place. And it's such a fine line trying to tread that. We're trying to help someone, but then at the same time, we don't want to offend the other person's what they've done in the past and where they're at now. So it can be quite a slippery slope to travel on, and it's something that Steph and I and Mario as well, the other coach here, we try and navigate through every day. But I think that, as we build a relationship with that person slowly, I think the best result has been not going, full pelt and ripping the person apart at the beginning and saying, this is what we need to do. Yeah, we can, we kind of, don't lie to them, but we kind of make them feel good about themselves. And then, we build them up and tell them, let's work on this one piece. Let's build on that. And eventually it'll all come together.
Yeah, it's not like we're trying to promote right and wrong. Like as a coach, if we're coaching you with lifting or nutrition or whatever it might be, it's not like we're trying to say to you, oh, yeah, you're wrong and I'm right. This is how we need to fix it. It's not black and white like that. We're trying to just coach you through these grey areas. It just might be that maybe your movement isn't optimal right now, and we just want to make it a little bit more optimal for you so that you can get better down the track. You can get stronger, you can get more out of it. And if it's not perfect, it's not the end of the world. It's not like we're telling you it's always wrong, which sometimes I think people take feedback is they think that they're always doing something wrong. And that's not the case. It's not like we're telling you you're always doing it wrong. We just always, if you want us to look for something, we're going to find something that anyone can improve on. If you're looking for it, you're going to find it. So we're just trying to, give you that little 1% better. I think that's what makes a good coach as well, as someone who is looking out for those things and always trying to help you be that 1% better. It's not about being perfect. It's just about always seeing if you can, do tiny bit better.
Exactly. And if you struggle with the idea of perfectionism, then our podcast on is there a perfect technique or does perfect technique exist? That was a really good episode for people to understand that, well, actually perfectionism doesn't exist and it's something really unhealthy for you to chase anyway. So hopefully that puts things into perspective. And when we talk about optimal technique, we're talking about the best technique that you can achieve, that we believe you could achieve. So it's not just, everyone should lift with a, flat back and that's the most powerful position for you. Well, yes, being in an extension is going to help you lift a lot of weight, but that might not be the most optimal position for you because you might have an injury, you might have some limitations that prevent you from being in a certain position, or you might have some injuries when you go to a Pilates class that prevent you from being able to do all the movements. So a perfect technique for you might look a little bit different to everybody else. You might be pregnant, so there might be some alterations you have to give, and then suddenly, it's an optimal position for you to be in would be different to somebody else.
Exactly. Yep, that's exactly right. All right, point number 4, ask questions. So there's nothing wrong with asking questions and trying to understand.
I encourage it.
Yeah, I do too. And there's nothing wrong with trying to understand where the person's coming from in terms of feedback. If you want clarification, if you want to get a little bit more of an understanding about what it is they're trying to get you to achieve and why, I think that's amazing, because then you're actually showing that you're interested and you want to improve. Or maybe you're really not interested and you just want to kind of get your own opinion about why you're not interested in that feedback. But I think it's good for you to then determine what that feedback means, and then you can decipher it for yourself and put it into practice or not, So some questions that you might want to ask is why? Why do you want me to improve this? Or how do I improve this? So there's some really good 2 things. Or just seek clarification for what it is that they want you to do and want you to work on. Yeah,
just generating discussion with your coach at anything, and that can also determine if you've got a good coach or not, because they'll be able to give you the right answer rather than, well, because I said so.
Yeah.
And then that's obviously not a good answer. It could be an answer sometimes depending on how your coach is feeling, but it depends on the day. So I find it really awkward when I'll tell someone, I want you to do this next set, and then they just walk off and nod, and that's fine too. But I wouldn't mind if they, we can have a discussion about it, or if they, they just agree, and it just creates a different relationship with you and the coach. And I think that's something that can be really enjoyable, and that's something that we enjoy. But look, not everyone's there to ask questions and care about why do we turn our toes out when we squat, or why should we wear weightlifting shoes and all those things, and that's okay. But I think if you want to really improve and get the most out of your time there, asking questions is going to be a great thing.
And just on that as well, with asking questions, that goes for once you think you've applied the feedback. So if you're, say, doing a lift, for example, you could say to your coach, hey, can you just watch this one? I think I'm doing what you asked me to do. Can you check for me? And that's showing that you're really interested in trying to improve and you actually want your coach's help or that person's help. So, get them to watch your lift, and then after you've done it, say, how was that? Was that any better? Yes or no. Don't be offended if they say no, because that's why you asked them. You wanted to get their feedback. So be prepared for them to say, no, it wasn't better, or it's not quite what I meant. Let's try this instead. That goes back to point number 1, having an open mind. And then you can, let your ego go and try and improve on what you actually wanted to improve on. If you're asking for help and asking for feedback, you need to be prepared for them to say, no, that wasn't quite right. This is how you can improve it.
Exactly. And I think the last point with ask questions is there is no stupid question. So there's no question deemed dumb enough, or there's no question that's too silly, or that someone's probably said it before. So, if you have to ask, what does 80% mean? Or what's the 3x2? What does that mean? Why is there maths on the board?
I've got a good question. I always get asked at Pilates, and it's absolutely not a problem, but people always say to me, oh, where's my glutes? What do you mean? Where's my glute? And your glute is your butt, basically. So every time I say to people now when I'm teaching Pilates, I'll say, hopefully we're feeling our glutes activate. Just a reminder, your glutes is your butt, if you're not sure. And like, it sounds funny to us because we're health professionals, but not everybody knows the answer to these things, and that's so fine. So there's no dumb question, no silly question. And if someone's laughing at you, maybe they're laughing because it's just funny, but they're not having a go.
Because they probably asked that question as well.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Everyone asked that question at one point in time. Like, I didn't always know what glutes were. But, you know, like, if they are laughing at you in a mean way, well, maybe it's time for a new coach. But, you know, most of the time they mean well. They're not trying to have a go at you because you asked that question. So, you know, don't feel bad. It's all good. We all ask silly things sometimes, myself included. There's no silly things to ask. And our final point that we're going to talk about, it's okay to have a different opinion. So it's totally fine if you don't agree with the feedback you've been given after this whole process. You're like, I don't actually agree with what they're saying. That's fine. You don't have to agree with the person, but it is still empowering to hear another person's opinion. And it's good to create that discussion. Just remember, this is not a personal attack. If you're getting feedback from someone, it's not personal. It's just maybe that's their area of expertise. I know something that's always a topic of hot discussion is deadlifts, whether you should have a round back or a straight back. This discussion in the powerlifting and the weightlifting community about whether you should or shouldn't have a flex spine, like it goes back and forth. And it's not that there's a right and wrong. Everyone's going to have an argument from both sides. You can still have your own opinion, just like the other person can still have their opinion. And I guess take it with a grain of salt. Maybe you learn something from the other person by having this discussion about them. And maybe one day you decide, oh, actually, I do want to have a straight back in my deadlift. But it's something to think about, you know. It's all right to have a different opinion.
Exactly. I don't really have anything to contribute to that point. I think you summed it up pretty well. No, you
I'm just too succinct.
You just did really well. Yeah, there's there's going to be different conflicting opinions. I think if there's one thing to be said with that, it's if everyone in the room agrees, it's probably not a good thing.
Yeah.
And if there is no, it's probably a dictatorship. I think I mentioned that to you before. If everyone in the room agrees, you're in a dictatorship. So if someone disagrees with you, it's really good. It's really good for healthy discussion and, you know, try and find common ground or try and find a solution that both of you can come up with. And that's something, you know, where a lot of great ideas can be made. And yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with disagreeing. I think people will be like, oh, what's my way, or get out. And look, if it's like spitting on the gym ground or the Pilates reformer and you spit on it,
that's
probably
different.
We're not really talking about that.
It's not hygienic.
No, if it's, you know, if it's like, you know, there's a particular way, if you have your feet, you know, slightly wider than your hip width, well, that's, you know, that's something that you can both discuss, but it's neither, you know, it's not going to be a detrimental opinion.
In the fitness industry and in even science, and when you're reading any article trying to support opinions, you're always going to find an article or an opinion to support your own beliefs anyway, if you're looking for it. So, like, of course, you're going to be able to find things that back up what you already think. The difficult thing is navigating when you find things that don't support what you believe and what you don't think, and then having that discussion with other people to try to understand the other side of it. I think that's a really great thing to be knowledgeable in that as well, and it just adds a little bit more to your coaching tool belt. I guess this goes into us a little bit more as coaches, like how we can, you know, be a little bit more empowered and a little bit more knowledgeable for our clients to be able to give them information. Is that we need to be open to feedback as well and open to different opinions too, from other professionals. But, you know, that could be a conversation for another day, how to give feedback. And yeah.
Exactly. Thanks, Steph. Yeah. That was excellent.
Thanks, Brandon.
How's your black nitro?
It's going really good. I'm nearly done. Yeah, it's quite nice.
And
like, do you want some?
Just no, I don't drink coffee. Sure? I don't drink coffee. And you forgot to shake it anyway.
I did.
You meant to shake it.
You know what I did? You were over there getting ready, and so I put my thumb over the hole, and I tried to start shaking it with my thumb over the thing, and it went all over my leggings, but not on the couch. Don't worry, I did go on the couch.
I'm stressed now. Now I'm stressed. Okay, well, this has been another episode of Wired AF. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. Hopefully you got lots out of it and you're ready to pick your coach's brain as well. And hopefully you found this enjoyable. Yeah. I find it's something that people really struggle with. So if you have anything to generate or anything to add to the conversation, speak to Steph or myself. We're smashing the Instagrams, we're smashing the Facebooks and all the rest of it, the internets. We'll be back next week with another episode. Hopefully you enjoyed the previous week's episode, which was Atomic Habits, the book club episode. We have a couple more book club episodes coming up, which is going to be fun for you guys, and we'll slowly drip feed you and release those as we go along. Otherwise, we'll run out of ideas.
No, we won't. We'll never run out of ideas.
No, because you guys keep giving us so many ideas. So that's great. But yeah, hopefully you guys are enjoying the podcast. You're enjoying the episodes. If you do have any feedback for us, you can leave a review on Apple Podcasts. You can just put the 5 stars in first and then write the review, and that'll be really appreciated. That can bring our average up as well, because we do have 2-star reviews. So if anyone knows who they are, please let us know. And Steph and I will just we just want to talk to them. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.